Shalom, shalom, akiyam. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. I would also like to give a double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. I would also like to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout all four corners of this earth. It's just Bayan back again, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And I just wanted to get into a brief lesson, and Lord willing, going into an article with you, Akiyam and Akwaf, pretty much going into how NASA is pretty much racing against China, all right, in efforts to begin to colonize the moon. You see, and we understand through biblical prophecy that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, okay, has been given fatness of the earth, okay, and pursuing the Job, I want to say Job, the 14th chapter, there's bounds. There's bounds he cannot pass. As a matter of fact, let's stop there. They can't get through the Van Allen belt, man, even if they tried. And what you're going to find out in this article through the spirit is that they pretty much snitch on themselves regarding them not ever going to the moon, even though they open up with them revisiting the moon, but under different guidelines this time, which is a complete lie. Okay? Bear with me. Let me see here. Here it goes. We'll open up here. The book of Job, chapter 14 and verse 5, and it reads, "Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee." Are with who? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? Being that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is the one who gives power and sovereignty to nations. All you got to do is read Wisdom of Solomon, okay, the 6th chapter. Okay, you can also find information going into this. What's that, Daniel? Is that 4? Right, you got, I believe Daniel, is that 12 as well? It's all over the scriptures. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai sets up kings and brings them down. You see? So guess what? The number of his months are with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. There's a year, okay? There's a month, a week, a day, an hour, a minute, a second that this man will not rule over. See? Thou has appointed his bounds that he cannot pass, right? We're talking about a power that set bounds over the sea, okay? By a perpetual decree, man. What makes Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, superior to that? This man's clock is ticking and he knows it, okay? And he also understands what's written in Jeremiah. What's that? Jeremiah 31. Let's go here real quick. Regarding the ordinances that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai set, and if they can be accomplished, he'll do away with Israel. I believe it's Jeremiah 31 here down at the bottom. Here it goes. Verse 37. Let me see. Bear with me. Now we're going to start up. Verse 35. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, and verse 35, and it reads, "Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day," right? "And the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar, the Lord of hosts," right? The Lord of army is his name, man. Right? It says what? The ordinance of the moon. The Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has set those ordinances, man. And you can read about some of those ordinances here. Let's go here real quick. We're going to come back. Let's get this for edification. That's Sirach 42 or 43. Let's see. Bear with me. It's right here. The Wadi Hawabashim Yahushai. The book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach. I'm going to start at verse 1 and jump down to verse 5, and we'll continue on from there. The pride, the book of Sirach, the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach, chapter 43 and verse 1, and it reads, the pride of the height, the clear firmament, the beauty of heaven, with his glorious show. Verse 5, I'm jumping down. Great is the Lord that made it, right? And at his commandment runneth hastily. He made the moon also to serve in her season, for a declaration of times and a sign of the world, right? This is why it's not a coincidence that we've been seeing, these blood moons, these super moons, blue moons, okay? Because we're living in a time where Esau is the end of the world, man. We're in the time of the end of Esau's reign, the end of Esau's eon, okay? And we're coming into the time of Jacob, okay, which consists of us so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, okay, with Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai leading the charge, man, of us having everlasting dominion. This is the time we're coming into, man. And this is what we're seeing, various solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, all these spectacles in the heavens, man, which we're told not to be dismayed of, pursuant to Jeremiah 10. See, we know what times we're living in, man. We're living in a time of the transition of the guard, man. Esau is being moved out the way, okay? This is what you're going to find out in this article. This is why he's hasting to get up there to the moon, man. You see? Let's continue on. From the moon is the sign of feasts, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. Right. The months, okay, the month evolves around the new moon. You see? We're coming into a new moon, what? Tuesday evening. I'm sorry, yeah, Tuesday evening, tomorrow evening. We're coming into a new moon. We're actually going into a double Sabbath. You see? And what determines this? Beginning of the month? The moon, the new moon. Okay? And in the middle of the month, there'll be a what? A full moon. You see? Matter of fact, let me continue on. That's the spirit. The month is called after her name, man. And we're going to prove that to you real quick. Let me get that in the etymology. Let me finish this precept out. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing. Right, we get full moon to a quarter of a moon or half a moon. You see, as the month goes on to the very end of the month where you can't even see the moon. You see, the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. Right, that firmament that Esau, Edom, so-called white man can't get through. He can't get through that Van Allen belt. He's trying though. Let's get this here. Yeah, that radiation belt. He can't get through that radiation belt. This is the word month, and the etymology of the word month. All right. Now, when you read through this, what you're gonna find out, check it out. All right, which is related to Menon, right? Moon. You see that originally the month was the interval between one new moon and the next. You see, giving credence to our elders and apostles being on point when it comes to the Sabbath, man. You see, we believe wholeheartedly that our elders and apostles, the great millstone, got it right. Here it is in the etymology, man, telling you that originally, right, the month was the interval between one new moon and the next. But who changed that ordinance? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man with his Gregorian calendar, man. Okay? This bastard done changed ordinances, man, that have been decreed already. Let's go back to Jeremiah 31. I don't want to lose control here. And then we're going to grab that article through the Spirit. Probably just read through the whole thing. So back in the book of Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 35 again. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon, and the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. You see that? The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. You don't think Esau knows that? Esau knows this. Okay? This is why he's adamant, okay, to search out the heavens, man, above, and to search out the deep, the depths of the ocean. Because when you continue reading, thus saith the Lord, of heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth search out beneath, right, the depths of the sea, right? I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. Evil E knows these things. And he knows that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is a man of his word. So if he's somehow, some way, miraculously able to do one of these things, we're out of there, man. But it's not possible. Because it's written, okay, that the saints, which are the Israelites, starting with the elect, shall take the kingdom, man, and reign forever and ever and ever and ever. So we know when we come across articles like this, we know it's a feeble attempt. Let's get this right here. We know this is a feeble attempt. Okay, those of us that are tapped into the Spirit, man, of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. This is from Natural News, and it's dated August 11, 2023. All right, and it's titled NASA and private companies, all right, and private companies to launch business on the moon within the next decade, within the next 10 years. They plan on colonizing the damn moon, giving credence to how close we are to the end. You see? Because what you're going to find out is that they're jockeying for position, okay, to be the first to go up there. Watch, we'll get it. But let's read through this article. Bear with me. Right, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, is preparing to send astronauts back to the moon. Yeah, my ass. Right, on its Artemis missions within the next decade, but it's not for another scientific mission. It's for business this time. Okay, see how they open up with it, making it seem like they went the first time. They never went. Okay, if they went the first time, was that back in 1969? Wouldn't you think they would have been up there again? Right. You see, that was a Hollywood Studio 666 stunt job, was what that was back in 1969. Okay, the Artemis missions aim to establish a sustained human presence on the moon, paving the way for future extraplanetary colonization and resource utilization, with a potential market value of over $100 billion. The moon is poised to become a hub of economic activity and commerce. So here you have it. Esau's trying to move his diabolical colonizing mindset to the moon, man. And this is screaming Habakkuk, the second chapter. This is screaming Habakkuk, the second chapter. Lord willing, we're going to get that. Definitely the moon is going to be a big business, stated Praki Kawade, a senior analyst at NSR, a space market research and consulting firm. So you see how confident they are. He said, this reads, quote, definitely the moon is going to be a big business. So they're confident that they're gonna get up there. They're confident that they're gonna start colonizing on the moon. They're confident. See? NASA's ambitious endeavor has caught the attention of private companies. For instance, Elon Musk's SpaceX has emerged as a front runner in the race to develop the human landing system a space transportation that will bring astronauts from the moon's orbit to the lunar surface. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, another prominent player, recently secured a $3.4 billion contract to develop the Artemis V human lunar launcher. The New Glenn mega rocket of Blue Origin is set to play a pivotal role in future lunar missions. Let's get a little more here. Astrobic Technology and Initiative Machines lead the development of unscrewed robotic landers to establish cost-effective transportation of goods and services to the moon. Lockheed Martin, in partnership with General Motors, is crafting battery-powered lunar rovers to outperform their prototypes from the Apollo era. The tech giant Nokia is on a mission to bring 4G internet connectivity to the moon by 2024. That's next year, man. Right? To provide a lifeline for lunar missions. So you see what they're doing. Okay, they're trying to bring their madness to the moon, man. This man is out of his mind. Let's continue on. Furthermore, the Artemis mission's plan is situ resource utilization to the moon, meaning to say the project intends to mine and exploit lunar resources on the moon or on Earth. So they're planning on mining up there. They plan on digging up all up in the moon, right? We want to leave behind a wake of commercial. Listen to this. This is a quote. We want to leave behind a wake of commercial activity and commerce and more routine living, right? And working in space. Steve Creech, acting deputy associate administrator for the Artemis campaign, told Insider, man. We got to grab Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, real quick right now. See? This is this man. This is what he does. The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. We'll start at verse 1, and it reads, Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. Whose soul? Esau, Edom, and so-called white men in the form of these elites, trickling all the way down to these regular Joe six-pack Edomites, the proudest creatures created. Okay? Their souls are lifted up, man. They walk around with these 3-piece suits and suitcases, all right? These expensive glasses, shaved faces, okay? They're women are able to shave their backs, so now they're walking around like they got it. Okay? Like they're perfect, and they can't do no wrong. They're pure. Okay? No. They're not upright. They're crooked serpents. Okay? Profane and perverse. Pursuing the Hebrews 12 and 16. Okay? There's no one more profane than evil E. Man, woman, and child. Okay? Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. But the just, okay, which are starting with the elect of Israel, shall live by his faith. Let's read that again. But the just shall live by his faith. Lord willing, we're part of that precious number. Okay, Lord willing, we're part of the elect. Now here's the point. Yeah, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, man. And that wine is what? His philosophies, man. His ways of life, his religion, his economics. Okay? This man's been, the greenback has been leading the earth, leading these nations for how long now? For a long time. Okay, but you see these various nations pulling away from the fiat currency, man. They're tapping into the BRICS, you know. They're separating from Babylon. Why? Because the hammer of the earth, okay, is being put down. We're living in a time of Babylon falling, man, which is a beautiful time. Okay, but this is how they operate, right? They transgress by wine. Okay, he is a proud man, and that word proud is a buzzword for evil E. This is how we know it's talking about him, right? Neither keepeth at home, right? We're reading this article going into how they're trying to go into a whole nother. They're trying to leave the planet, man. Here it is. They've completely destroyed the planet. From the air quality, the water resources. Okay, they polluted the oceans. They polluted the airspace, man. There's space junk. Why do you think there's space junk, man? Because Evil E's been up there. In the form of his, what is it? they have their space station up there. You see? This man leaves a trail of destruction, man. This is why he's coined as the son of perdition, which that word perdition goes into destruction. Everything they put their hands toward, they destroy. Okay, now this man's trying to make his way onto the moon, man. And then Mars, as we're going to continue to read in that article, they plan on turning the moon into a place to refuel and reload and continue on to Mars. This man thinks he's going to actually be able to search out the solar system, man. Hey, this man's out of his mind. We know this. But this is beautiful because, it allows us to measure the times we're living and understanding, that, we're at the time where Yahweh Shai is on his way back, man. Because there's no way Yahweh Shai is going to allow this man to go and destroy the moon and then put his hands on Mars and so on and so forth. It's not going to happen. You see? As it's written in, Revelations? Is that Revelations 18? If I'm not mistaken. Going into how the Lord is going to destroy them that destroy the earth. Or is it Revelations 11 and 18? It's one or the other. But needless to say, this man's got a lot to pay for pursuant to what he's done to this planet, man. Not to mention to what he's done to the children of Israel, okay? Animal life and all of his other atrocities that he's committed, man. You see? This is how we know. This man's at the end of his rope. Let's continue on, man. Neither keepeth at home who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death. You see? He is as death, because again, we briefly spoke on it. This man leaves a trail of destruction no matter where he goes, man. He's been there, okay? Because everything around that place is deteriorated after he goes through there, man. Right? And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people, man. Okay, this man's covetous. See, he desires what other people has, and he's willing to hurt you for your possessions, man. Okay, this is how we know if China gets up there first and claims that as their territory, that's gonna trigger a war, man. We know what war that's gonna trigger. Yeah, you guessed it, Armageddon, World War III. You see? Let's go back to the article and continue on. Furthermore, the Artemis mission. Now let me jump down. The second paragraph. Regolith or moon dust could be mined for helium-3, a rare particle that holds promise for clean energy generation on Earth. Meanwhile, the moon's water catches near its poles could be extracted and converted into fuel, enabling longer lunar missions and serving as a refueling station for journeys to Mars. You hear this, man? Lunar Outpost, a space tech firm, has secured $12 million in seed investment to develop lunar rovers and technologies for this mission. So they're striving to fulfill this. U.S. and its allies are racing to the moon against China. Check this out. And we'll close out here. We'll read through this and close it out. Bear with me. The lunar market is not without geopolitical implications. The U.S. and its allies are not only competing for lunar resources and business opportunities, but also for strategic dominance in outer space. They aim to establish a presence on the moon ahead of China. This reads, quote, "Money isn't the only drive pushing the U.S. and its allies to bring business to the moon. These are strong political incentives to get there before China." Noted renowned space and analyst Rosu, this sentiment was echoed by Bill Nelson, the current administrator of NASA. It is in fact, we're in space race. Okay? It is in fact, we're in a space race. And then this is interesting because you would think, organization that's claiming to have already been up there, decades ago, would easily be able to go back up there without any issue. We're under the assumption that what America went to the moon first, right? By Neil Armstrong. Wasn't he up there talking about with the American flag up there blowing, where there's supposed to be no oxygen and no gravity? We talking about we land on the moon? Come on, man. You see how they tell on themselves? But guess what? People are so blinded that they don't see it. You see? They don't see it because they're drunk, okay, with the wine of Babylon. Let's continue on. This reads, quote, "It is true that we better watch out that they don't get to a place on the moon under the guise of scientific research," Nelson warned. And it is not beyond the realm of possibility that they say, "Keep out. We're here. This is our territory." But isn't this what you guys do? Isn't this what Babylon does? Okay, even when that land is already being occupied, scripture goes into how these devils covet fields, man. Micah, the 2nd chapter. Lord willing, we're going to go get that. You see? The rivalry between the U.S. and China has stemmed from both nations aggressively pursuing lunar exploration programs, including plans to land people on the moon. It might seem like space is big, but the specific orbits that we are most interested in get filled up fast, said Laura Furzik, executive director of the Atlanta-based space consultancy Astrolytical. In the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, signed by 110 countries, space should be used for the benefit of all humanity and prohibited any single nation, and prohibited any single nation from claiming or occupying celestial bodies. Similarly, the Artemis Accords of 2020, a collaborative framework drawn up by NASA and endorsed by over 24 spacefaring nations, sought to promote peaceful and transparent space exploration through non-binding multilateral agreements. But China, which has been absent from this pact, charted an independent course to the moon and sought stronger partnerships with space agencies in Russia. Hey, that's the spirit, Gog and Magog. That's not a coincidence. Latin America and Central Asia. So experts warn that the intensifying race for space dominance could lead to war on Earth. And that's what triggered this lesson, this last paragraph. So experts warn that the intensifying race for space dominance could lead to war on Earth. Okay, and this is one of many ways World War III can trigger. Okay, because we're aware of their digital monetary system they're setting up. Okay, and depending on how that ends, that can trigger World War III as well. You see, through their economics, man. You see? So there's many avenues that can bring on that World War III, man. Okay, but we do know it's going to come. And what that's going to usher in is Yahweh Shai. Okay, because we know he's coming and the fire is already going to be kindled when he comes. And the elect, Lord willing, we're probably that precious number, got to be saved from that thermonuclear fallout that's going to come in the form of this World War III. Okay? Because pursuing the Jeremiah 50, see, this is realistic, man. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if that triggers, they're fighting for dominance in space, triggers a world war, man. Triggers this world war. Hey, we'll be happy if it did. But pursuing the Jeremiah 50, and 14, and it reads, "Put yourselves in array." All right, and that word array, that formation, that's a battle formation, man. Okay? "Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about." And this is talking about Mystery Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America, the daughter of Babylon. Google it. Google daughter of Babylon and tell me what you find. Right? "All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her." Hey, hold on now. "Spare no arrows." What is this bow? What are these arrows? This is not no bow and arrow of old times, man. Native American setup. So-called Native American bow and arrow setup. No, man. These are dark sayings for those missiles, man, that are sitting in silos as I speak. Those intercontinental ballistic missiles, man. The weapons of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai's indignation, man. The instruments of death. Okay, coined in Psalms, the 7th chapter. This is what this is talking about. right? For she had sinned against the Lord, right? And you may have one say, oh, the laws were only given to Israel. Only Israel can sin. But what you got to understand is that evil E, okay, heaped up the covenant to himself, man. Okay? He took the scriptures, claimed them as his own, claimed that he was the highest power conceivable. All right, claimed that he's those people that walked through the Red Sea. Okay? As a matter of fact, pursuing the Psalms 50, let's back that up. Let's prove that. Bear with me. He heaped up the covenant to himself, man, and dropped the ball at the same. He dropped the ball at the same time with it. Okay. This man has blasphemed the Holy Spirit, man. He's added and removed scriptures. He's created a slave Bible, okay, to create a perfect slave. This man's sins has reached up to heaven, man. The book of Psalms, chapter 50. And verse 16, and it reads, but unto the wicked, okay, which is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, man. Read Malachi, what's that, 4. Okay? It goes right into it. I'm sorry, Malachi 1 and 4. Right? But unto the wicked, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, see? Or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth, right? They swearing on the Bible throughout the time of their when they do the presidency election. They have you swear on the Bible at court. Okay, they put in God we trust on their money, which we know they're not talking about the God of the Bible. They're talking about the spiritual demon Satan, but still at the same time, they've manipulated the scriptures. Okay, they've covered up the faces of the judges. You see? They've created their own laws of the land, man, contrary to the scriptures laws. Seest thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee. Right. Right. They do what they want to do. They make their own laws. You see, they operate under their own agenda. Okay, which is an agenda of wickedness. Let's jump down. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself. Right, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai deceived you demons. Okay? You are in a trick bag. And you've grown so proud that you actually think you've outsmarted Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai through your science. But to your ignorance, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai allows you, okay, to split atoms, smash them back together and create these weapons of war that are able to cause catastrophic damage, man, in efforts to fulfill his will. Okay? He's also had these countries be in league with you for the moment in order what? To fulfill his will. It's all about the will of the Lord. It's all about the will of the Lord, man. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he's going to, these nations are going to turn on you. Your allies are going to turn on you. It's biblical prophecy. Matter of fact, we'll close out there in Revelations 17. Let's continue on. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee, right? The Lord is going to correct you, right? And set them in order before thine eyes, right? And that's exactly what's happening. Here it is. The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are being set in order right before your eyes, man. Returning back to our power. You've tried to hide from us. Okay? But again, this is part of biblical prophecy, man, and the fulfillment of it. Jacob remembering themselves. Okay? Baruch, what's that, 2 and 30? Hosea 1 and 10. See? This is a fulfillment of biblical prophecy, man. The Holy Spirit pulled the okie doke on you bastards. And you crazy to think you making it up to the moon. You ain't gonna make it, man. Hey, you ain't gonna make it. Okay? And this just may trigger. And if you do make it, okay, and however that plays out, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if World War III does trigger. Because we know that these people are covetous, man. They covet lands, as it says in Micah. We were supposed to grab that, but we'll close out right here. They take it by violence, man. So if China gets up there first, you know damn well these devils are they're gonna get violent. This is what they do. It's in their blood to do it. As a matter of fact, let's just go get it. Let's get that Micah real quick. I mentioned it twice. That's the spirit. Real quick, Micah 2:1. Woe, which means destruction to them that devise iniquity. And when you devise something, you invent it. Okay, they invent wickedness, man. Right, and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. Right, they're in their comfort. They're in their sovereignty. They're in the position where they have dominion over the earth. Okay? Again, being that power was given to them by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. But we're living in a time where it's about to be stripped. And their vain attempt to go to the moon is going to be a vain one indeed, right? And they covet fields, right? They covet fields, okay? And take them by violence, okay? And houses, and take them away. This is in their history, man. All you got to do is go in the circular history and see how they got down. And what you're going to find out is they're nothing but colonizers, man. And culture vultures. Okay? This is why this man was told he'll be a vagabond, man. Back in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, 4th chapter. What's that? Genesis 4. Genesis, the 4th chapter. Okay, a vagabond goes from place to place. You have no home. You're just wandering. Okay? And this man, this is what he does. He colonizes, man. Let's continue on. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Right, he stole our heritage, man. Here it is. These small hats are in our land, claiming to be claiming to be the chosen people of the God of the Bible and his only begotten son as they hump a wall, man. This is crazy. This is madness. Okay? This is madness. The biggest Momo parade takes place in Tel Aviv, but here it is. They're more righteous than thou. They're the holy people, man. Come on now. You got to be a fool not to realize these people are not who they claim to be, man. Okay, that they're truly Amalekites. Okay, Edomites. Okay, Amalek. Okay, whom the Lord will have war with from generation to generation, man. Okay, ultimately, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai is going to visit this man's kingdom with fire, man. Okay, let's go right into that. Let's go right into that Revelation 17, which is going to come in the form of what? World War III, pursuing the biblical prophecy. I'm going to jump down to the bottom. Verse 16 is the point, but I'm going to read from verses 18 up to 16. Okay? The book of Revelation, chapter 17 and verse 18, and it reads, And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Right? Mystery Babylon the Great, the hammer of the earth, man. This place calls the shots. What happens when a country doesn't do what they say? They put a sanction on them. See? They have the power to do so. Okay? Verse 17. For Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai had put it in their hearts to fulfill his will. You see that? It's all about Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai's will. And to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai be fulfilled. You see? So upon the fulfillment of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai's words, this is where this thing's going to go. Right, let's continue on. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, right, which consist of the EU. Okay? The 10 horns consist of the EU, man. The European nations. The European Union. Right? These shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate and naked. See? They're going to turn on her. And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. You see? So the beast that consists of the NATO and the EU is going to what? They're going to turn on her, man. right up upon the words of the Lord being fulfilled. And we're coming into that time. See? We're coming into that time. You know, so we understand, those of us in the light understand that this is just a vain attempt, okay, to try and move Israel out the way. But it's a vain attempt indeed. Because pursuing the biblical prophecy, evil E and the rest of you heathen, you have bounds you cannot pass. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. Lord willing, you Akiyam and Akwaf were edified. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kal Halaliam La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Shalom.